Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at and installing the MBRP Pro Series catback exhaust with an H-pipe for 2015 to 2017 Fastback GT Mustangs. This is a 3-inch 304 stainless steel system that has no cats at all, and it comes with an H-pipe. The MBRP Pro Series is all about delivering more volume and tone, but in a subdued way, so you don't have any high-pitched raspy notes. And when it comes to loudness, I'm going to call this one a strong 4 out of 5, with 1 being a quiet upgrade and 5 being a very loud upgrade. This catback costs about $800, and it's very easy to install. I'll call it a 1 out of 3 wrenches in the difficulty meter. And we'll show you how we got it on the car now. The tools that we used for this install were a 15mm socket, a 13mm socket, both deep and shallow, a 5/16 Allen. We used 2 different length extensions, a 3/8 drive impact gun, and an electric ratchet, but a normal 3/8 ratchet will work just fine. Alright guys, we are going to start the install by loosening the clamps at the front here by the resonator, and they're a 15mm. Now we're going to loosen the bolts that hold the hangers in place. They're a 13mm. We're going to take the bolts out but leave the hangers clipped into the body of the car. They're still going to hold the catback up for us. We're going to do the same thing with the hangers back here. They're also 13mm. There are 2 bolts holding the rear hanger in place. We're going to do the same thing on the other side with the hangers. At this point, you're ready to drop the catback as one big piece. You guys might need a second set of hands. What you're going to want to do is get the hangers out of the body in the rear first and then push forward on the resonator. Okay guys, so here's our MBRP catback laid out next to our factory catback. Now the MBRP is a 3-inch 304 stainless steel catback, so you have a step up there as far as diameter goes. Of course, you're starting here with an H-pipe. That's a little bit different than what we normally see. Normally you see a lot of X-pipe catbacks. The H-pipe here is going to give a little bit of a different sound than an X-pipe does. You don't get quite as much volume out of an H-pipe, but you get a deeper tone. An X-pipe sometimes tends to produce a raspy note. You guys can see the step down right here. That means that you can install this with your factory 2.5-inch headers and catted pipes, so you don't have to worry about that. This catback then is going to flow down to your MBRP straight through mufflers. They are straight through mufflers, so they are going to flow more and give you a little bit more volume, but the H-pipe here is going to balance them out, so you won't get too much volume and you won't get those raspy notes. The other thing to keep in mind here is that this is the race version, which means it doesn't have cats. You still have your cats right after your headers though, just keep that in mind. The system is then going to end with 4.5-inch polished stainless steel tips. And MBRP makes a handful of catbacks, so if this one doesn't sound quite like what you guys are looking for, you can always check out one of the other MBRP options. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get this on the car. So one thing I'm going to do is I am going to move over the hangers from the factory catback over to our new catback. You are going to want to make sure that you remember the orientation and apply them on the new catback in the same orientation. You guys might need a little WD-40 to help you get these off. Okay guys, now we're ready to get our H-pipe up and into place, and I do have a pull jack here to help me. What we're gonna do is we're gonna slide the tapered end up here into our clamps. You wanna make sure that this is facing towards the ground. You don't wanna install your H-pipe with this facing up towards the body. It needs to be pointed down towards the ground. All right, so my pull jack's just gonna help me get this in place, and then I am gonna take a rubber mallet and see if I can tap these into the clamps a little bit more. Okay guys, now we're ready for our tailpipe install. Make sure that you get one of the 3-inch clamps that MBRP gives you in the box and slide it over the end of the H-pipe before you install your tailpipe. Like usual, just make sure your bolt is facing down so that when you go to tighten it, you have access to it. I'm just gonna go ahead and slide our tailpipe up into place. All right, and the first thing we're gonna wanna do is try to clip my hangers in place in the body because that's what's gonna hold the tailpipe up. Okay, so now I have a second pull jack to help me out. I'm gonna install the tip on this side, and then once I have this straight and lined up, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the clamp down on this side as well. I'm raising this just high enough to where I think it'll rotate to be straight for our tip. All right, so at this point I have another pull jack with me, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I can get this tailpipe to rotate so I can get my tip on and have it lined up and straight. From there, I'll go ahead and tighten this clamp back here. All right, so now we're gonna slide our exhaust tip over the tailpipe. We're not 100% lined up yet. I'm just going to eyeball this and see what I need to do with the tailpipe to get this straight. All right, so at this point, I have everything lined up and completely straight. I removed the pull jack, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten this clamp down. So now we're gonna go ahead and get some of our 13mm bolts back in our hangers just to hold everything in place. So we're gonna go ahead and put the bolts in the rear brackets as well. All right, so at this point, we're gonna go ahead and tighten down our clamp. All right, so we are gonna get the passenger side tailpipe up the exact same way we did the driver's side. We're gonna go ahead, slide it into place on the back of the H-pipe, and then clip our hangers into the body. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get our bolts in place on the hangers. All right, so we're also gonna get our bolts in the rear hangers back here. All right, so at this point, our system is perfectly straight. We have our exhaust tip on, but not tightened yet. We're just gonna go ahead and tighten this clamp here. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and tighten down our tip. All that's left to do is tighten the 15mm nuts at the front of our H-pipe. All right guys, that's gonna wrap up this review and install. Keep in mind that you can always check this cat back out more online. I'm Stephanie, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.